Kansas City, round 3 of the NASCAR Nextel Cup Championship chase, and it's Heartland America. Clint Boyer Country, Carl Edwards and Jamie McMurray are from out here too. The men on the hot seat in the title chase are Kurt Busch and Denny Hamlin, and this is the Car of Today race, soon to be the Car of Yesterday, after 3 straight weeks of Car of Tomorrow races. It'll be interesting to see who's up to speed on the Car of Today. The Car of Today, the last was run at California Speedway, and that was a bad race for Ricky Rudd, who's still out injured. And at that particular race, he was pointing out that the Car of Today needs a little more safety features on it, even though we're going to run it only a few more races. And we also discovered that not all the walls at Speedways are soft walls. He hit at a hard part, and his shoulder is still pretty much damaged. So we'll have to see how that's going to go. It also raises another question, Ricky's injury does, about why NASCAR doesn't have one championship, why it has a driver's championship and a car owner's championship. Every time a driver gets injured, he has to get back in that car to get points. And Dale Waltrip has been talking about how bad that is. We've seen Mark Martin having to be lifted into his car to get starting the race to get points, and that's just wrong. NASCAR needs to rethink that whole thing. We've also got Carl Edwards' penalty to discuss. I think we'll be looking at that this weekend. 25 points for being too low at Dover. And everybody's pointing to the penalties on Johnny Sauter and Kyle Busch at Loudon for being too low. But Kyle and Johnny were low in the front, which is an advantage on a downforce track, where Carl was low on the rear, which is a disadvantage. I think the better analogy would be to Jeff Gordon at Daytona, where he was too low in the rear and actually won the race and got virtually no penalty at all. NASCAR has been very inconsistent in their penalties this year. Sometimes they've been very severe, sometimes it's a slap on the wrist. They sort of got themselves backed into a corner with the Carl Edwards situation. I think it's just to aggravate Jack Roush. Every time we get into a championship race, it seems like there's a 25-point bonus here, a 25-point deduction there, and Jack seems to be the loser in all of these things. The 2008 schedule came out finally. NASCAR finally released it about a month late, and there's still no concession to TV and the championship chase. Last weekend's ratings were rather disappointing, to say the least. A 3-3, I believe, in the overnight. We'll see if we get the Nationals today sometime. This is Friday, and we're going to Kansas Speedway to see what's going to go on here. NASCAR needs to liven up the chase by going to bigger markets and revamping that, but they didn't do that for 2008. In fact, the only change they made was to a July race, turning that at Chicagoland Speedway to under the lights on a Saturday night. And when was the last time Dale Earnhardt Jr. won a race? 54 races ago. The spring of 2006. Maybe if he'd win a race, the ratings might go up. Those are some of the stories we're looking at this weekend. Mike Mulhern for the Winston-Salem Journal and JournalNow.com.